What's up, everybody? It is I, Sigma, and we are back with episode 20 of the BBET GamesCast. I'm joined by Superman Jeff.
Hey,
as well as Blue Bones.
What's going on, fam? Is it really episode 20 already?
Episode 20. We've done 20 of these bad
crazy.
Boys.
Yo,
right
that's the nutso. It's your boy, Blue. Let's go.
So, as we do always for 20 weeks in a row or so, we're going to start with what we've been playing. Anybody want to go first?
Yeah, I'll go first since I have the list. Because I haven't got to play much, I did actually download Transistor on the Switch. So,
yeah.
Okay.
I see they had a really good sale on some indie games. It was between Transistor and Bastion, and Transistor is pretty much the spiritual successor to Bastion.
I've heard that. Yes.
I went with Transistor. It plays very good. It plays. It's very smooth. I mean, if you're not familiar with it, it's kind of like a grid map, kind of similar. I mean, it's a grid, but there's a scenery to it. You got to go for the most. I didn't get to play much, about an hour or two. You go through these different levels, you fight these robots, you unlock different abilities, and you can then augment those abilities. And there's a pretty cool feature where you kind of like hit ZR, and it kind of like stops everything. Then you can go and do an ability, do another ability, do another ability while you're not moving. And then when you hit ZR again,
they all flash.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Cool.
One of my friends was telling me about that, and because he thought, okay, I was talking about pixel art games versus 8-bit games, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's a difference, right? Mm-hmm. And you guys will hear about the game I was talking about because I was playing that this week. But anyway, I said that Sigma streamed this game. What was that samurai game? The samurai cyberpunk?
Katana Zero.
Katana Zero. And I said, I was starting to describe it, how like you kind of plan out all your moves ahead of time. And then he said, oh, you're talking about Transistor? And I was like, no, I don't know what that is. So that's exactly what Jeff was just talking about. So, yeah, you see there's a whole chain there.
You see? It's all connected. It's all connected.
It's all coming together.
They had some really good indie games on this. I think I'm going to try a few. They're very good on the Switch. I will say the Switch is very, very useful for those type of games. Not to say they're not useful for other games. Just not really any other third-party games. First party, and then you got the indie games. I think that's where the Switch lives. I think that's where
I feel like most
at.
people who are into like a lot of these really good indie titles that are coming out nowadays love to be able to take them anywhere.
Yep.
And the Switch is just really good for that. Except I hate those Joy-Con controllers. Like I can't really play much. When I was playing Hollow Knight real heavy, I had to bring my Pro Controller with me everywhere I took my Switch.
You did play Hollow Knight on the Switch.
Yeah, I have that on Switch.
That was another one I was looking at. I was thinking about because you really got me interested in that because it reminds me of like Dark Souls.
Yes, it's very much like Dark Souls.
That Hecto Mundo feel. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like I'm out, you know. So it's like, oh, I'm thinking I might hold out to the second one though. Just because I think it's on Game Pass too.
Yeah,
so
Hollow Knight is on Game Pass on Xbox.
Yeah,
but
so it just
if you wanted to take it around, then you
would
get it on Switch, but you probably wouldn't need to since you're signed up to Game Pass.
Yeah. So Oh, and I've been playing this. So you had to sign up for this beta for a Digimon mobile game.
Right. I've been hearing a lot of people talk about this Digimon mobile game. So it's just the beta that's out right now.
Yeah, just the beta. So you had to sign up for it. Signed up for it a couple weeks ago, or maybe about 2 weeks ago. And I got the invite, and I automatically downloaded. It said, "Hey, the beta for Digimon is available." It's not bad. It's kind of a gacha slice raise 'em up game. Which is pretty much
like when you say raise them up, you mean like Tamagotchi?
Yeah, think about Tamagotchi. You gotta feed them. You gotta train them. You gotta feed them. You gotta train them. There's some depending on their mood, depending on your relationship with them.
Oh no!
Certain conditions to digivolve them. Stuff.
Wow. Okay,
it's not bad.
So it's a Tamagotchi.
It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't become a chore. Remember Tamagotchi, where like you forget about doing something.
Yeah, they're like all the little blinking indicators all over the screen.
Like their place would be filthy too.
With poop.
Poop all over the place.
It was disgusting.
They never heard it. Don't poop where you live at. But
I can't deal with no digital pet that got an attitude. You know what I'm saying? I already got a real life attitude pet with the attitude. I don't need a digital one.
Don't need a digital one.
You are programmed. I bought you to have fun.
And it's not bad. The combat on it's a game. It plays pretty good.
It's a game.
I've played.
What is other than the taking care of the monster? What is the gameplay part?
You fight. So
combat?
there's a story. There's combat. There's stuff like that. But like the taking care of the pet is kind of like a conditions to getting it stronger and to digivolve it, stuff like that. So Then you also had the gotcha feature where you got to kind of go and spend 40 rubies to do a summon for 10 of them or whatever it is, and you'll get right now you're just getting champions and rookies. So you want to get ones that have a potential to turn into ultimates, obviously. So that's kind of what you're doing. There's different rarities to them as well.
Are you able to trade Digimon with other people?
I have not come across that yet. So I'm not sure if that's possible. Now, that hasn't been something I looked into, so it could be, and I'm just not aware of it, but I'm not sure. And that's pretty much all I've been playing.
That's what's up.
That's what's up.
Did you want me to go next, Blue, or you?
Yeah, go for it.
I've really only been playing one game, and a review for it just dropped a couple days back. It's called Pine.
Okay.
And it's actually on Switch and PC, like nowhere else just yet. But think Breath of the Wild, but much smaller team. So like there are certain things that kind of you wouldn't get if you're actually thinking Breath of the Wild. Like the world isn't as big. The core conceit, because if you think of Breath of the Wild, that game is kind of built on systems, like kind of logical things in the world affecting one another naturally, like, you know, water being able to freeze, metal being able to conduct electricity, like cool stuff like that, fire spreading. This game doesn't have any of those kind of systems. Instead, it has an economic system that functions through trade. So like there's no currency in the game.
Okay.
You trade like materials, like you'll pick up rocks or flowers or food and stuff, and then you can visit villages. There are like 5 different villages based on like anthropomorphic sized animals. Like there's like a moose people, there's a fox people, there's like a bird people. And like you trade at their villages, and then the stuff you trade with them affects kind of how well the village is doing, and how well the village is doing affects how effective they are at going out and getting their own stuff and fighting other villages and taking over other villages. So like the world is kind of shifting all the time without you really having to do much, but you can have a big impact on it.
Influence it on supplying the right people.
So one of
Are you a war profiteer?
I know, that's what I'm about to say, like what's going on here?
Well, the story conceit is your character is a human. And apparently humans haven't been seen among these tribes in like several generations because
So your way of introducing yourself is supplying them with
Well, that's kind of what's interesting. The story is actually very interesting in this game. Like I don't want to spoil too much. But yeah, like your tribe is kind of isolated up on this high cliffside for like several generations. So you up on the cliffside kind of wonder what's going on below, but all your elders tell you never go down there, right? So of course you end up going down there.
Yeah, naturally. Okay.
And then you start to learn about this culture. But the reason he's going down there is actually really compelling. Like something's wrong with where his people are staying, and he needs to find him a new place to live. And he's one of the only people brave enough to go out and look for a new place.
Okay.
So in doing that, he's meeting these people, and in his desperation, he is kind of turning. He's like stabbing people in the back and manipulating people and stuff to try and get. And it's like. You identify with why he needs to do this, but it doesn't change the fact that it's actually kind of messed up what he's doing.
Yeah, so you two fight each other. Whoever loses, that's who home will take, and now we'll have a place to live.
Right? Yeah, like stuff like that. So one of the coolest aspects of that whole system is there are things called.
Is there a nemesis system?
No, that'd be dope actually. But yeah, it is a small team, so there's nothing that grandiose, but they do have this economy system. You can make ideas, which are kind of like blueprints. Like you can craft an idea, and then you can donate that to a village, and that idea essentially affects the village in either a positive or a negative way. Like for example, I was able to craft a poisoned meat recipe. So like I seeded that idea into a village, and then for like the next 5 minutes, all the characters from that village had like poison effect on them. So like they were a lot weaker supposedly. So like you could do that to a village.
Oh, so you poisoned a village?
Yeah.
That's
so you could poison a village, and then you could basically call like some other village. Like you can get like a raid flare from some other village and say like they're poisoned right now, they're weaker. You guys come and attack them, you'll probably have a better chance of taking over their village. And some of the missions require you to do stuff like that. And that's regardless of whether or not you actually built a positive relationship with them. Or
quick question: are there women and children in said village?
You know what? That is a good question because a lot of the species seem to only be one type. Well, the bird people seem, you seem to be able to tell that are women birds and male birds. Everybody else seems to just be one thing, and that's part of my issue with the game. Like, it is a small team, so there are a lot of like rough edges around a bunch of things. Like, there's literally only one enemy type in the world that's not part of the 5 tribes. Like, one like just random enemy type. It's like this really slow, dumb looking slug creature, and you fight it like a million times. Anytime there's enemies that aren't a tribe, it's those things. And even the boss fights you have against what they call a dark beast is just a bigger one of those things recolored. It doesn't even change its attacks. It does like electrical attacks. It's red as if it's fire, but it still does electrical attacks. Like, that's like it's disappointing. The combat in the game is actually like actively awful. Like, I hated how it felt. I never wanted to do any combat because it felt like a waste of time. I'd prefer to just run away and do something else because the fighting just felt like garbage. But I really liked the story. I liked that concept. I just felt like it didn't go deep enough because I would have liked the opportunity to kind of pick a certain village and ally with them so that they're always helping me throughout the whole game. But then, like, a certain story mission would be like, oh,
you need to screw them over now.
Poison the chief of whoever's over here, and it just so happens to be those people I like.
Oh, so it's less choices of who you can do what to. Is more of like, the story kind of.
Because honestly, there's literally there's like 1 or 2 side quests in the entire game. Every other mission is a main story mission. So there's no reason for you to go out on your own and try to socially engineer. You don't want to poison these guys, help these guys build up. Like, there's no reason for you to do that outside of what the game tells you to do.
Yeah, I think it'd be better if there were options. Either poison this group or help this group or do this or do that.
Like, make it more open-ended so you can actually have some kind of ownership over, like, the way the world is turning out and how things play out. But
I could easily see 6 different endings. Right now, I'm not saying that the team did a bad job because I don't know the capabilities of the team and how much work is going to put in, blah, blah, blah. I'm just talking off the top of my head. I think it would have been cool to have at least, you said there's 4 tribes, right?
5.
5 tribes?
Yeah.
Okay, so 6 different endings, right? One where each of them take over this area, and then one where there's like a super neutral thing, or they all die, or they all come to peace, or something like that. So you could do 7. So I think that would have been really interesting because when you started explaining the premise, I was like, oh, there's a lot of possibilities, and then going more into it, it's like, oh no, there's really not.
Yeah, it's a little stunted from what... the game. Exactly, yeah. Like, you would want to replay it and try to see how much more different you could make everything turn out, but it really doesn't lend itself to that. So I'd be super interested in them getting the chance to do a sequel and maybe just go a lot deeper into that economy system, that simulation system, because it's honestly the most interesting part of the game.
Yeah, I can see that.
But that's pretty much what I've been playing. Blue, how about you?
All right, so I've been branching out, right? I've been and I talked about pixel art earlier. I started playing Wizard of Legend. That's what it's called.
Yeah, I saw you stream a little bit of that.
I saw that on the Switch too. I saw that on there.
Yeah, it's super cool. It's a lot of fun. And
looks really fun. Really freaking cool.
So a couple weeks back, y'all saw me play Moonlighter, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize that both of these games were so similar in their overall mechanic, right? So with Wizard of Legend, you play a wizard, like this dude in a cloak or girl in a cloak, and you're visiting this museum. I love the intro. The intro is one of the best things for me. You visit a museum in like modern times, and you're looking at all the relics of the old Chaos Wars, like back in the day. And basically, it's a tutorial explaining everything that happens in the game. So once you reach the end of the exhibit, and that includes like they give you fake powers, so they're supposedly holographic powers, so you can really try out the moves and stuff like that, right? You get to the end of the exhibit, and there's this like ancient coin, and you go to look at it, and it explodes and transports you to the world where they had these chaos trials.
Oh, so your character,
it's actually
it's an isekai story.
Yeah, yeah. Exactly. So you meet all these little sidekicks who are going to help you equip stuff. So either you equip one trinket, one basic attack, a dash attack, a standard attack, and I think it's called an ultimate or your super. all that to say, jump in a dungeon and start killing stuff. All right. It's very fast paced. Is when you think about wizards, normally I'm thinking about slow casting, huge spells, very flashy.
Yeah,
right?
Harry Potter.
Yeah. This is not that. This looks like martial arts with elements, and you can really.
So you're firebending.
Yeah,
so
it looks a lot like Avatar.
It's a custom Avatar top-down dungeon crawler. That's what that is. It's super cool. You go between I think it's 5 different elements, but there's 4 main ones. You got fire, earth, air, and water. Now you have some ice moves, and you have like chaos energy, which is supposedly hurts you, but it's more damage. But the way you can mix everything together and put perks on certain elements, or certain elements hurt people more. No one's immune to any element, but if you're using fire on a fire dude, it's not gonna hurt him as much as you're using ice.
Makes sense.
So that being said, it's a lot of fun. You can do a couch co-op. I didn't get a chance to play couch co-op yet. I want to see how that rolls out, because things are a little different when there's another person on the screen thinking really fast. But that being said, you got different cloaks, you got different I said perks, equipment, moves, and what you want to do is collect dark crystals, right? And these dark crystals let you buy more stuff and get you a more powered build to start off. I haven't beat they every trial is run into 3 sections. I haven't beat the second section yet. I always if I'm having a good game, I beat the first one barely, right? And then but I'm still collecting those dark crystals to make that climb easier. So I haven't made it all the way to the end yet.
So even though you're not completing the level, the dark crystals are letting you level up so that you'll have an easier time the more time you try it.
It's not leveling up. It's not leveling up. You actually just collect the currency, then bring it back to the main hub and buy different things to
like souls. Like you pick up souls and you bring them back. You go back to the fire keep and kind of upgrade them with the fire keeper type situation.
Yeah. So it's that kind of feel. So I had a whole bunch of fun with that game. I'm excited to do more and see the more combinations and possibilities you can do.
So you said you didn't get to try the couch co-op?
No, I didn't.
Okay, yeah,
my friend was
interested to see.
Yeah,
I was interested to see if they have you share that screen.
So
if it zooms out or if it's split or something.
The videos that I saw when I watched the trailer before I downloaded it, and this is free on Game Pass, by the way, viewers. It looked like you share the same screen. Okay. So you guys have to decide on the same way to go together.
Oh, okay, one of those. Yeah. Okay, I actually enjoy those better than split screen.
Yeah, you're forced to work together, and Cuphead does a very similar thing. But another thing I was going to say, on every level, right? It's a huge map, and there's 4 different areas, or it's technically 5 important spots on the map that you have to find. So you start in the dead center, and then when you go extreme to, let's say, the northeast side, there's a shop or some NPC that offers you something, and you can always go back to them and say, okay, I got all these coins that I just picked up, and now I'm training for this. But there's a teleporter at every one of these NPCs, so the teleporter brings you right back to that center spot, and you can travel between the 2 as much as you want. When you find where the boss is supposed to be, the teleporters or the warp portals, whatever, that you've already unlocked, that you've already found, are there as well. So you can always travel around fast as heck. Yeah, it's very convenient. It's a lot of fun, and it makes the dungeon crawl not as tedious.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
So, yeah. On top of that, I also started playing World War Z. Now,
right, that just hit Game Pass yesterday or the day before yesterday.
Yeah,
it came up there pretty quick too, so which is pretty cool.
Y'all know I am not the guy for scary movies, let alone scary video games. We talked about it last week.
That's very true.
Yeah. World War Z was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun.
I actually liked that movie. I don't think it did well critically.
I didn't watch that movie.
There's supposed to be another one coming out from what I heard.
Is there?
Yeah.
Yeah, the movie wasn't bad to me.
Or there was a TV show, or there's another movie coming out. One of those. Or both of those.
So, I only got 2 levels down in the campaign. And basically, it's different spots around the world dealing with this zombie outbreak. Very Left 4 Dead feel.
Yeah,
I love how
super Left 4 Dead.
Yeah, it's super Left 4 Dead. But I like how, you know me, I love classes, I love customization.
Mhm.
While you can't customize who your character is, you play as these set characters. There are appearances that you can change, so you can change their skins, and you can change what class they actually are. So your profile is really building up that class. Every
Mhm.
time you play, you get class experience. I like medics. I like not DPS, stuff classes. So I'm running a medic.
Frontline medic.
Yeah, yeah. So my medic has a stem, so it doesn't matter which character I choose. They always have all the perks and buffs that I've
The
Oh, that's pretty
class
cool.
unlocked from
is
before.
separated from
Yeah.
the character you actually play as.
Exactly. And on top of that, every weapon that you use, you get experience on that weapon, which is real life, which is super cool. You know what I mean?
So it allows you to customize your character and build a hybrid class if you choose to, because you can port those abilities over from different classes, right?
I don't know about porting abilities from class to class. I think you just choose a class and you choose which character you want it to be, and then you jump in.
Okay, so once you change classes, they lose those abilities because you said you can switch between classes.
Yeah,
okay.
It's like your profile is the class, and you're just putting that class on whatever character you select.
Exactly.
Because each chapter has a set, like 4 specific characters who
Four
play
specific
through that
people.
chapter. I actually reviewed this game. It was the second game I ever reviewed
you did.
for Gamementary. So if you wanted to check the 2-minute review for that on Gamementary's YouTube, you can definitely check that out. But I'm curious to find out, because the big draw for this game was that horde zombie tech, where it's like rushes and rushes, like just like the movie, how it's like a wave of zombies. They try to emulate that in the game. Like, what did you think of the first time seeing that?
Okay, so watching the trailers and watching other people play, at first I'm like, yo, this is going to be overwhelming, right? It's not that bad. And what I mean by that, it's still scary. Like, they're kind of flooding in from everywhere.
Right.
But it's manageable. It's manageable. As long as you're paying attention and you're shooting at something and you're not just lollygagging, it's manageable.
Yeah, none of that lollygagging.
None of that lollygagging. We don't lollygag around here. But one of the coolest things I saw was when they were trying to like climb up a building. You know,
they make the little
climb on.
Yeah,
on
they make
top
a little
of
like
it, right?
pyramid. You have to like either shoot the bottom or blow up the bottom to like it's just like they really do mimic that craziness from the movie in the game.
Now, is there any sick people that just stand there and they won by? Because I'm interested to see if the logic carries over. Because remember in the movie where they wouldn't attack sick people or people who were.
I know what you mean. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it doesn't get that deep because it's like there's no like NPCs in the world. Like everything is kind of destroyed, and then you're just like think Left 4 Dead. Like everything is destroyed and nothing but creatures everywhere.
If you like World Z, you should try Remnant.
Why? Those are nothing.
Nothing
like each other. What are you talking about?
I don't know why you're trying to do that to me.
Well, it has that whole co-op feel. You get to go out and customize the character. I'm just trying to help you out.
I appreciate it. I'm already like far out of my element playing a zombie game, so I think I'm gonna stay on this side of the kiddie pool. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Did you play by yourself or did you try to co-op?
So I played co-op actually. I played with one of my friends, and ironically, it was super weird. Okay, first of all, this is just a random Blublurb.
I'm sorry. Say it again. A
random Blublurb.
I thought it was a random bluebird. I'm like,
no.
What is that?
Random blurb. Me and my friend who've been playing games together for almost a year now just found out that we have the same birthday.
Wait, what?
Yeah, that is super weird.
That is weird.
Shout out to my boy Sincere. We have the same exact birthday.
Oh, you and Sincere have the same birthday?
Yes. We found that out just like 2 days ago.
And
we've been playing each other for almost, if not a year. Shout out to Sincere. His birthday is next week.
Shimada, bro.
Yep, only birthday next week.
Wow, I hate you. So, that being said, that's the main news stuff I've been playing.
Cool.
Yo, okay. This Korean child is still messing me up on this game.
I thought you had an alliance. Like, where are your allies at?
Okay, half my allies are Korean too, so I'm just trying to get them to use the translate function. But the fact is, I'm just inviting a whole bunch of random people so we can get our territory going. But me and the lady had to move our village from one area to another so we wouldn't constantly get attacked. Like we got
he forced you to leave.
Oh wow, yeah, he took your space.
We wasn't making any progress, and he had a lot more people already established. And Club Suck was getting full, so we just out. You know what I mean?
Say we
That's
just gonna
sad.
move.
That's
Yeah,
sad.
Have this land.
That's some sad
I'll
news.
give you guys more and more updates on my Rise of Kingdoms
Oh, man.
lineage.
Our land
But that's
is
what-
your
that's what-
land.
That's what Blue has been playing this week.
All right. So that's going to do it for what we've been playing. Real quick update before we get into the main topics. We mentioned how Netflix seemed to be focusing on a lot of video game franchises to bring into the TV world to kind of maybe compensate for the loss of some of this Marvel content. There are two new announcements from Ubisoft, of all people. They're putting together a Watch Dogs show, one that seems to be aimed towards like a slightly less mature audience, like maybe tweens, it seems like.
I saw the animated one. Yeah.
Yeah, like the little poster for it looks kind of like Totally Spies.
Yeah.
If you remember that old cartoon.
I remember that. Yeah, with the three girls.
Right. Yeah. Like that's what it's reminiscent of.
Alex, Sam, and
Don't know the names.
Yeah, I don't remember their
Kind of
names.
weird that you do too. Know that you do know the names, but I'm not judging.
I mean, I used to watch that show. I just don't
I
remember
did,
their names.
but I don't know the names.
It came on right after Dragon Ball Z.
It did. Yeah.
And right before something else I wanted to watch.
That's
So,
usually when I
like,
change the channels when that came on. To
Oh,
something
Jeff
else.
was
Like,
too macho to watch Totally Spies, I
Yeah.
guess.
I did not
Okay.
enjoy it. I did not think it was that good.
That show was fine. But so Watch Dogs is one of the shows, and the other one is, strangely enough, Far Cry Blood Dragon. If you
I
remember
thought that was a
spin-off.
weird. Yeah.
Apparently, people really liked it though.
addition.
Like it was like a spin-off DLC for Far Cry 3.
Yeah,
That
it
was like
really
set in
good.
the 80s. It was like very, very tongue-in-cheek in terms of like 80s tropes and like pseudo-future neon nonsense.
Didn't they try to apply that aesthetic to the
Trial, yes, the Trials
yeah.
games. And that one was
And
not.
you said that was bad.
Yeah, that one was not well received at all. Like,
I heard that a lot of people liked the Dragon Blood more than the base game.
Yeah, I heard that too.
yeah, like
Far Cry
it
3.
seemed to be a really, really good kind of one-off DLC for that franchise.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that they're trying to adapt that specific thing from Far Cry into a show. So I do wonder how that's going to turn out, because that was some time ago. Maybe
It
like
was.
this kind of 80s parody stuff maybe is a little played
with
by now.
Stranger Things, you kind of still have that
Right,
going on for
right,
a little
right,
bit.
right,
Nostalgia.
80s
But I mean,
and 90s.
Stranger Things is a lot more
90s.
earnest than
Yeah, well, that's true.
yeah, like this is like a parody of 80s.
Yeah.
culture.
Yeah. This is,
Well, I did feel like when I did hear about the Watch Dogs
yeah.
series they was doing, unfortunately, I was hoping it was like a live action. Because I
Uh,
feel like that would have made such a really good live action TV show. Because when the game first came out, I'm like, yo, this would be like
Oh yeah.
a good movie. Like, forget the game. Like, this should have been a movie.
It might-
I
it
heard
might
there
have
were
been better
talks
as a-
of a movie coming out a while ago, but
Look,
I think
I'm
that
gonna tell
kind of
you
got
something.
snubbed.
Jeff, I'm gonna help you out right now. Okay. There's a movie on
Yes.
Netflix called iBoy.
I saw that.
boy.
That's iBoy is basically Watch Dogs. Like the premise of the movie is this. It's a British movie, but this kid gets in an accident where his phone kind of like explodes near his head, and part of the components got lodged in his brain. Right.
Okay.
It's actually pretty well done. Like it
Mhm.
sounds
Because
corny the way I'm
that sounds
explaining it.
like nonsense.
No, the way they do it, because like somebody shot at him or something like that, and it exploded
Mm.
like right into his head. But anyway, he starts getting capabilities of the cell phone, so he can start seeing people's text messages. He can send things with his mind. He can search the internet, and he could just do money transfers.
Mhm.
Like it's pretty crazy. It's a good movie, and old girl from Game of Thrones, Arya
Yep.
Stark, is in
Mhm.
it. Yeah, she.
I think I've seen the trailer for this.
Yo, watch it. iBoy on Netflix. Trust me.
All right, yeah, I might check that out.
If you want that
Mhm.
oh my gosh, Watch Dogs.
Watch Dogs
Feel.
is that the word
Thank you.
I'd be looking for.
There's so many games and titles going through my head right now. If you want that Watch Dogs feel, check out iBoy on Netflix. It's really good.
Cool.
Also, one of the actors from Black Mirror, the first episode of Black Mirror, he's in it. The man who did the swine deal.
Oh, the
You
Prime
know.
Minister.
Yeah, the Prime Minister is in it too.
Prime Minister.
Interesting. Okay, so that was just a quick update on that whole
Yeah.
ongoing video game Netflix stuff. As we get more titles that kind of fit that bill, we'll probably just let you guys know that those are coming out in the future.
Cuphead too.
Right, yeah, because we talked
Hashtag-
about that.
hashtag
The
The
Witcher.
Witcher.
A lot of stuff is coming. Next topic, Titans, the TV
Yeah.
show from DC Universe. They're kind of pulling an old school move here, but not really.
Yeah.
So-
I thought it was really cool once I read up on it.
So what's happening is the character Jason Todd, who is the second Robin from Batman, he's made his appearance in seasons 2 of Titans, and apparently he's near death. Like something happened to him. I don't want to spoil anything because I myself haven't watched it.
Without spoiling this, in the comics, this was like back when they first introduced Jason Todd. He wasn't very well received. Most people didn't like him. So what they did was he got kidnapped by the Joker. The Joker, working for Ra's al Ghul at the time, Ra's al Ghul, kidnaps Robin, and he has him, and he's beaten. This was very brutal at the time. He was beating him with a crowbar.
Yeah.
And he was beating him. And what they did was they had viewers vote on whether
Or readers,
he
rather.
should live. Yeah, readers.
Yeah.
Yes. Whether he should live or die.
This was back in 1988, I think it was.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
And they voted to kill Jason Todd back
they
then.
voted, which is very morbid. So
But-
they wound up killing him.
Uh-huh.
But it opened the window for one of a lot of people's favorite characters. It's the morally gray Red Hood.
Yeah, and that
Yeah.
was like, how many years after that happened?
Oh, man.
They brought him.
20?
I think it was like
Yeah.
12. No, it was like 12 years.
Yeah,
later,
it's
I
about
think.
12.
12? Okay.
And what wound up bringing him back was he got reincarnated in the Lazarus Pit. Ra's al Ghul felt bad.
Well, we don't need to go into.
Well, this is the comics. You got to give the history. This has nothing to do with Titans, so we just
This is
want to
like
give the
me
history.
describing
So-
Final Fantasy 14.
which you do in limbs. So, but he wanted to bring him back in the Lazarus Pit, and he came back a little bit unstable. So if you ever go watch Batman and the Red Hood, it's a very good animated movie, and
It's
it's
actually
actually
my favorite.
most of that is covered in there. But,
Even
back to
the
Titans.
most recent Batman game used that storyline, the Red Hood
Yeah.
storyline, Arkham Knight.
Yep.
So that's how iconic that storyline became because the fans voted to actually kill that character. So kind of as a nod to that instance, they're asking fans in a poll whether Jason Todd should live or die. Though it doesn't seem like they're actually going to use it. Like it's not.
Yeah.
They're not using the results of this poll to actually frame the
But
rest
it's
of the
funny.
show.
It's
But
just
yeah,
a-
it's a really
saying the same
cool
It's just
callback.
funny. Yeah.
And right
Shit.
now, the poll is 51% to kill him.
I'm surprised
Which
it's not
is messed
more.
up.
Honestly.
Yeah.
Because
Because they make him a douche. If you've seen any of it, without giving it away, he is really, really, really like. He does a good job, but he
Yeah.
does a good job at being a douche. If
Yeah,
you haven't
it's
watched
like
Titans, yet,
Joffrey
I definitely
from,
watch it.
Joffrey from Game of Thrones.
like you really
Like,
just
if I see
learn to
that
hate
dude
the
out in
guy.
public,
yeah, you go give him a
know,
side eye.
It's side eye at the minimum. We ain't taking a selfie, fam, but you did an excellent job.
So that was a really cool nod. Sticking with comics,
Yeah.
Comicon apparently faced some controversy. This is, I believe, this was going on overseas, like the European Comic-Con officials. They were having a cosplay contest, and champions from a bunch of different regions were set to come and compete in like a finals. One of their entries apparently was accused of using blackface, which
Yeah.
Comic-Con then.
After she already won, right?
Yeah, she had already won like a regional competition with this costume. People started to see it, started to get upset. Then Comic-Con basically banned that character from competing in the finals. And that particular cosplayer doesn't seem to understand why she was banned. Like, if you...
And there's a lot of people supporting her,
Right.
saying that it was unfair that she was banned.
Now, I want to see if I can just get the name, because like this cosplayer's Instagram is
Livianart.cosplay.
Livin Art, like
Oh,
LIVANART dot cosplay. So you can go to there. I suggest you not follow her, but at least go and see the cosplay she put together. Because honestly, I don't understand how this is a costume.
I don't
Like-
understand why she had to darken her skin.
Well, that's the thing.
There-
It doesn't
like-
even look like she darkened her skin. This looks like she literally put on a suit of skin. Do you get what I mean? Like, she's a
Yeah.
woman. The character she's cosplaying, I'm personally not familiar with, but he's named Pike from League of Legends.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he's like a pirate-looking guy, bald
Yeah.
black dude, like muscular. Like, if you look at this
Yeah.
picture, I first thought it was like a game render of the character from the game because it must be that accurate, like in what she did. So that in and of itself is quite impressive. But the fact that she's literally covered from head to toe in a black person's body,
yeah,
I can't tell if it's paint. Like honestly, like her chest is exposed. This is a woman, but in the cosplay she has like pecs like a dude. I don't understand how this works. In all honesty, I'm not a cosplayer, so as impressive as this costume is, she literally put on like a black skin over her or something. And
there's something to be said for talent, and then there's something to be said for sensitivity.
Yeah.
Right. And those are two sides of this, in my opinion. It was very insensitive, and she has a lot of talent.
Yeah, and those two things, don't necessarily affect one another. The fact is that she doesn't understand. Like she's saying that it was intended to highlight the power of cosplay, but it's like,
no.
Like who? I mean, I know there are people who love cosplay out there in the world. There are people who whose lives are built around cosplay. Like it's very important to them, and I understand that. But this, I don't feel like this has anything to do with that. Like, why? Like, why do you?
I think like if you're gonna go this deep into costume makeup, just be a costume makeup artist. You know what I mean? Like, don't just. I feel like she's wasting her talents on.
You're trying to prove a point about something like this, right?
Yeah, that doesn't need to be proved, and she just ended up hurting people in the process.
Yeah, what's that Jurassic Park quote? Just because it can be done, doesn't mean it should.
Yeah,
yeah.
Like honestly, as impressive as this looks, it makes no sense why she would do this.
Look, you go to Google image Pike League of Legends cosplay. Plenty of people are doing it amazingly without the brown skin because that's not their natural tone. And it's still an amazing, impressive cosplays. Did she really need to add that?
Like if you look at these side by like, are you guys looking at the side by side like I am?
Yeah,
right now?
I've seen them. Yeah,
because like you see. Like she has like long, it's like she put on a bald cap, some kind of like makeup stuff. Like she's wearing like a whole thing. Like think Mission Impossible, how they do like those masks to cover their faces. Yeah. That's what this looks like, and that's insane. Like there's no reason why you should ever need to do that for a cosplay. Honestly, like this is costume design of a scale that just like why would you ever need to get a white person and put them
black.
Put them in full makeup, like unless you're doing Tropic Thunder, like Robert Downey Jr.
That's the
where you're making a joke about that
work.
Exact thing. But this is like you're completely missing the point. Like and the thing is, I don't know I don't know if she really just doesn't get it. A lot of people just don't get it. They don't seem to see like, oh, I'm paying tribute to
you're
them.
not.
Like.
No, you're not.
You're wearing, like, think of it like this. You're paying tribute to a fox by wearing its dead skin around you. Like, that doesn't seem to make any sense.
What are we, when we see this, what are black people supposed to do? Oh, thank you for doing that. You know what I mean? That really highlighted my melanin. What? What is the tribute? What am I supposed to be grateful for? Get out of here.
So the main reason I wanted to actually bring this whole situation up, because honestly, like I said, I'm not big in the cosplay world. I don't really understand the ins and outs of it. But there is such a thing that has recently been kind of coming to light called digital blackface, if you've heard that term before. And it refers to essentially people using memes or avatars in games or other things that can be associated with black culture in combination with the anonymity of the internet to kind of come off as black. There was a very recent example, and I'm not too toned up on this, slightly different situation. There was some singer on Twitter or something, Emo Black Thought, I think her name was.
Oh.
And it came to light that it was actually a dude behind the account and not a woman, not a black woman.
Yeah.
I think it was like, so it's kind of the same thing where you're using the internet to kind of pass as a black person.
To get popularity.
Yeah, to like get popularity, to get kind of a past within the culture, you know, things like that.
Get invited to the cookout.
And I really wonder how does that feel like if, say, you go into like a multiplayer game, like let's take Monster Hunter for example. You have a lot of character customization options. What if there's a white guy who maybe grew up in the hood, sounds black or something, like when he talks to you over the mic, and he plays a black character because maybe within himself he kind of wants to be black, so, or he likes black people, you know, he grew up with them. He's walking around with a black avatar in the game, and you cannot tell that the boy is not black. If he were to then say, "Oh, my N-word," like
that don't change who he is.
It doesn't. But it's like this is kind of the new world that we're living in.
So I see what you're saying. Like it's almost synonymous. You know what I mean? Why do you need to say the N-word? Why do you need to have black skin?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, this is the thing, right? It's not a choice for us. It's not a choice for us. And we live with the stresses of being black 24/7, 365. You're doing it for popularity. Okay? When you're driving down the street, you're not worried about getting pulled over and possibly killed for no reason. You're not worried about that.
Yeah, so
but you can use that skin to win a contest. That's cool. Bet. Okay.
but honestly, more so on the digital front, because honestly, we've done this too, and that's the thing that kind of like confuses me.
Yeah, because my thing is the whole when you create a character, you're creating a play. You're not necessarily playing yourself.
Yeah,
you're playing a character you want to play.
You're like role playing another character,
so I don't
right?
see the big deal as far as a white person creating a black avatar on like Monster Hunter. I don't see the same thing, because think about it, us growing up. We played No Mercy, right?
The wrestling game,
okay.
the WWE.
Yeah. So I created a character. His name was The Wall. He just so happened to be white.
Right.
One game I might create a light-skinned person or a darker-skinned person. It just depended on, what I was watching at the time, what I wanted to portray at the time. It had nothing to do with wanting to be anything else.
Embody
exactly.
Or...
So it depends on the reason why that person created said character. So they created to be malicious, because some people are like, I make a black character so I can be an asshole and say what I want. Or I'm going to create this character because I like Black Panther. I watched Black Panther at the time. I want to, get my thing going.
So in that vein, that's kind of the exact same argument a lot of these cosplayers are saying. They're saying they like the thing, which is why they're dressing up as the thing. So that's that in real life. So then what's the difference then when it's digital?
There's been a history of has there been a history of, I don't know, people using avatars on video games as opposed to a way to kind of express the deep-seated hate? The blackface thing goes back to the 1940s, 1920s, and the way blacks were displayed in cartoons. Remember Tom and Jerry? Mom, stuff like that.
Remember Bugs Bunny.
Any of those. If you look at how they were portrayed and what it goes back to the history, there's something completely different set aside from it. And it is now a day and age where there's no possible way she didn't see the other example of there was another cosplayer that was...
Oh, there's plenty of them.
Yeah, there are a bunch of example of this exact thing.
She knows what she was doing.
Yeah, she knew what she was doing. She chose to ignore it for the attention or to advertise herself, to make herself, because there's no such thing as bad publicity.
And that's exactly what I was going to say, Jeff. And you hit the nail on the head earlier. It's the purpose. What's the purpose of it? What are you doing? These guys who make black avatars, the white guys who make black avatars to play because they feel they're more connected to that, whatever that deal is, they're not doing it to... Obviously, some of them are bad, okay? Not everyone's perfect, okay? Yeah, I know there's some dudes that are going on there just to pretend to be a black guy, right? But there's a good amount of people where they're not going to see that. That's not going to offend them. That's the purpose of that is not to bring attention to yourself. Her, especially with all these previous examples, her intention was to bring attention to herself.
Using black skin and whatnot. So,
and that's the problem. Because she could have done a very accurate cosplay without that.
You're right.
And
like,
it wouldn't
with this skill and ability, she definitely did not have to do
Totally
this.
fine.
Exactly.
Mhm.
You know,
Not in the slightest.
like she was
would
trying
like
to make
to see her
she was
legal-
trying to make a statement, and
She
clearly
was.
it had an impact.
I would like to see her League of Legends account. I would like to see who she plays as, you know, just to see what was the basis behind this. Because I doubt she plays as Spike. I'm just saying. Maybe she does, maybe she doesn't.
Oh,
But, you know,
that's a good question. I don't know if she does. But if she doesn't play as Pike, that's even worse.
it's even worse.
That's even worse. She's like, that darky right there. Let's go ahead and do that.
Oh my
Like,
God.
come on, man.
Okay, so I did think that the analog between that and this rising digital blackface phenomena was actually super interesting, and I really just want to pose that to you guys, and the viewers and listeners.
What do you guys think?
Let us
Tell
know
us
your
your
opinions
thoughts.
on sort of the digital version of this. Like, is it the same thing? Are there differences? Do you agree or disagree with kind of the points we made? Hit up the email, BBETGaming@gmail.com.
And let me
There's
know.
a small thing
we
with that
should,
is where does, I guess, gender bending characters? You go in, you might play as a girl,
Yeah,
or you might not. That's been a thing that's been going on forever. You hop into an MMO and somebody's playing as a girl or somebody's playing as a guy, and it might not necessarily be that tight. Doesn't mean anything's wrong with that, but that's just either be who they identify as or who, you know, they might just want to play as a female.
You're like, what
understand.
what if it's someone who say is struggling with gender identity? Like maybe they
And it's a way for them to express themselves.
right. But then you start getting
But there's no racial identity
yeah, like
that
this,
you're
this-
trying to.
No.
the
No,
transracial
no.
argument that
No.
kind of comes up after people
No.
people how to lump that kind of stuff into the
Oh my gosh.
No, that's completely different. I'm just saying as far as a way to express them, the digital
Yeah.
version.
like
That's
what
a
would
different
what
way.
would Rachel Dolezal pick as Avatar?
Okay.
Wow.
You know, you're gonna turn the brightness down just a little bit. Maybe turn up the saturation. Okay.
Saturation. Yeah, I
The
think it's
force-
completely different than cosplaying as a guy or cosplaying as a girl. Those are two different things that have been done forever without offending either sex. I don't see a guy dressing up as a girl being a way of offending women all around the world, as opposed to dressing up as a color you're not, offending a whole race of people. So there's completely two different things. They're very similar, but they're very, very unique in those different ways, as the way that they offend the, you know, either the minority or the majority of the people.
I think that thin line is based in culture.
Mm-hmm.
I want to say, like it's a cultural thing. Like you can't use somebody else's culture as a costume.
Mm-hmm.
You know, their gender is not the same thing.
Yeah.
You know, so very interesting stuff. We're gonna move off of that. Blue, you actually mentioned you had an issue finding somebody to do co-op when you were playing. What was that, Wizard?
Yeah,
Legend?
Wizard of Legend.
Steam actually just launched something that would address that issue if you were playing a game on Steam called
Yes.
Remote Play Together. This is actually really cool. So games in your Steam library that feature local co-op, you can now actually have another friend who doesn't even own the game play that game with you as if you were playing local co-op.
And that is
So-
something that would never happen on console.
You think so?
I'm so glad
I
you said
don't.
that. I'm so glad both of y'all said that because you know I'm not the biggest PlayStation fanboy. However, PlayStation has been doing that forever,
Oh,
and yeah, they've been doing that forever. If you go on a PlayStation party and it's called share play, right?
Right,
Two people in a
yeah.
party. Yeah, you can pass the controller, or you can add another controller for local play.
Because the other
I've
person
played
like
games-
can stream what the first person is playing, right?
Exactly.
no, I mean more
Yeah,
like
they did have that.
co-op game. Like,
Yeah,
can they
co-op.
play at the same time?
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, that's pretty
But
cool.
that's-
then.
And I
So you're saying
and
they can they play with their own controller? You mean?
Yeah, I played fighting games with my friend. I can't remember which game it was. It was a long time ago,
Mhm.
but we both had a controller, and it was laggy. They even in the article that we read about the Steam, they said like it's not going to be the same.
Well, this is a
But-
beta. Like this is
Right.
still kind of in a beta period.
But that's
sure
pretty
they
cool.
saw
That's
that
that's something they should have highlighted. That's something that I feel like as a gaming company or
You mean PlayStation?
that's something you would
Now-
promote.
Yeah, I feel like
hey,
early on they did. I think that was one of their big features
That
when
was one of
when it
their
was at
big-
launch.
Oh,
but it
wow.
probably just
I
didn't
do
work that
like-
great.
I do
No.
like share play in general on the P4 because you can just stream to one person, right?
Mm.
If you don't want to even pass the controller, you can still just stream to one person. So if you're talking to your friend about some game, like, hey, come watch me play it real quick. You don't have to go broadcast live to everybody and everyone's asking questions. No, it's just y'all two.
But doesn't
No,
Xbox
that-
also have a feature where
I was
you can give
just
control?
getting to that.
Yes, that
Yeah.
has not panned well. Remember the guy who played Destiny on
Oh
PlayStation?
yeah, I remember this story.
And he
What
gave control to somebody he was playing with online. He had to go do something. So he asked this guy he was playing with to finish up the strike or whatever it was.
Mhm.
This person went in and deleted all his exotics.
Bruh,
Yeah, he
Yes.
just trolled them completely.
Yes. Now,
Flip.
Bungie,
insta fight.
you know, they gave him all those things back, but
You said don't do this again.
I wouldn't make that mistake. So
Fan.
they kind of emphasize, be very careful who,
Like
you
who
give
you're
control
giving
of your game to.
control of your.
Yeah. Like, never give it to somebody named KC, just because that's just asking for all types of
That
trouble.
was in the terms and conditions. You have to
Yep.
sign it.
Yep. Specifically.
Don't give your controller to Sigma Gears 9.
Never.
But I'm glad you both reminded me of that feature on both the PlayStation and the Xbox, that you can give
Yeah.
control of a controller to a game. I don't know if the Xbox version of this would then allow you to control a co-op character with two controllers.
Yeah, I don't think it does.
Yeah, I don't think so.
But
'Cause
it,
to me,
in
that'd
that
be something
vein,
that'd be
there
very
should be no
useful.
reason why it couldn't. It's just something
Yeah.
they probably just haven't implemented yet.
Because they don't care too much. Because one, they want more people to have the consoles.
Mhm.
Xbox is huge on multiplayer. You know what I mean? And two, yeah, they don't care that much. They really don't. They like buy more copies. I don't think they care about couch co-op.
I don't know.
No.
Of,
Also, how is it going to affect? Well, more so, this is more digital co-op. So, like, if you're at your house and you don't have the game,
Well,
you know,
Yeah,
I mean-
I get it's virtual couch co-op, right?
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
I don't think they care for that mode in general.
no, I don't think so.
well,
because they want you to buy the games, and that's also for the game
but that
industry.
wouldn't be behind. That wouldn't be like Xbox or Sony's prerogative. That's the developers who are
Yeah.
deciding whether or not they're going to put couch co-op in or not.
Xbox and Sony are the ones that are saying, yes, you can put this game on my platform.
Yeah, but they're
You know
not
what I mean?
dictating whether or not it has to be online only or like it has to have
They
split
might.
screen or not.
I'm sure that there are, certain requirements for their multiplayer. And they might be looking for different things at different times, But I'm sure they definitely look at that when they're choosing which games to give or which games to put on their console or not, their platform. I'm sure that
I can't imagine they would ever stipulate if your game doesn't have online whatever, we're not going to publish it.
okay.
Like I can't see a situation where that would be something that they would choose to do. Like because it doesn't help them at all. And there have been multiple games that have come out and are only couch co-op for whatever reason. Like a lot of indie games, I guess, don't have the manpower to set up the online infrastructure, so they'll kind of just stop at you can play this with your friends locally. Like the first wasn't the first Overcooked like that?
I don't know.
I think it was. Like the first Overcooked had no online functionality.
I know, that was kind of one of the selling points for Cuphead. And I feel like that's kind of an exclusive case because of the feel of the game.
Mhm.
But, Cuphead kind of boasts its couch co-op. Like, you can't play this online. We don't want you to play this online. We want you to Saturday morning cartoons. That's
Yeah, and
vibe you
and
get
that came
Cuphead.
from their devs. Like that wasn't Microsoft
True.
telling them
True.
make it like this or make it like that.
Right. So that's why I'm saying, like, that was a creative choice with
Mhm.
them. But I don't see, you don't see many of those at all. And that's why I don't feel like it's encouraged by Microsoft or well, I'm not going to say PlayStation because PlayStation got a whole bunch of single player games. But I don't think it's encouraged by Xbox.
Well,
Not that
here's
it's
a side
absent, I
note.
don't think it's encouraged.
They're
What's
bringing back. They're doing a remake for GoldenEye, so I think that's going to be.
Isn't that like a fan thing?
No, I saw the remake. It was. I thought I posted it, but no, there's a whole article on it. They're going to be doing a remake of it. Not a remake, but a remake, not a reboot, but a remake.
But who is? You said
Oh.
they.
I don't remember who it was
Because-
specifically. I just saw the article and I kind of like skimmed past it.
Because I forget who owns the James Bond license. Is that like MGM or something?
I think so.
So
because they were
that's
the last
one
who
thing.
did the game.
And then Rare are the developers who made the original game, which is now owned by Microsoft, the Sea of Thieves guys at this point. So I don't believe like the thing I saw about a GoldenEye remake. I believe that was like a fan project. Like I don't think that's anything official.
We'll revisit it. I'll post it in the chat and I'll find it again. I think I saw it on IG and it was yesterday, and then I heard it on the podcast last week or something. So I'll post that.
Yeah, I just looked it up. It looks like it's fully fan made to celebrate the game's 25th anniversary. So while it's a huge undertaking, I don't think it's an official remake.
Oh, okay.
Yo, we old, son. GoldenEye's 25 years old?
Y'all are old. I'm not old yet.
Oh my god.
I'm almost old.
All right, so let's forget about how old we are for a second.
I'm like a week away from
and let's talk about something new. Sony have thrown out some additional details about the PS5, namely the name of it, PS5. It's gonna be a PlayStation 5. Big surprise. But they went back to Wired and gave them additional information. And there's a lot of interesting stuff here about what this next console is gonna be. First, we know it's gonna come out holiday 2020. No big surprise there. AI assisted.
Yeah, and the AI assist.
Like, this sounds kind of like what Xbox was doing with Cortana, but hopefully it's a lot better, because I love Google Assistant, and if it's something close to that where you're kind of just telling it to do all these different tasks, like, because I can do that now via Alexa and the Xbox, like they work together the way Kinect was supposed to, but it's still kind of a little, there's like a layer in between that can get in the way.
Yeah.
If you can just talk through your controller to the thing or to the Xbox or the PS5 and it does exactly what you want, I'm all for that.
I think that would be nice. I think it would be fun. Speaking of Google Home, real quick, slight little pit stop. Now you can put Issa Rae's voice on your...
Oh, yeah, I totally did that.
I did that.
I totally did that.
It's so much fun. I just like asked her some random question because I wanted to hear like how the cadence of her voice is. You know, I said, "What is land speed velocity?" I was trying to remember like that quote from the Monty Python and the Holy Grail. You know, what's the land speed velocity of an African swallow or whatever. Anyway, and she did the whole explanation, and it sounded just like her, like it's supposed to, you know, but it didn't sound like robotic. You can definitely tell the little inflections where they kind of cut and stop, but
because I just knew you were going to get the Samuel L. Jackson one.
I wish there was one.
No, that one's on Alexa.
That's on Alexa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. They put John Legend.
And John Legend is on the Google Assistant too. Yeah. Like you can ask him to sing for you, and he sings the dumbest song about singing a song.
I asked Issa Rae a joke, and I can't remember what it was, but I was laughing. It was some dad joke. It was corny, bro.
That kind of stuff is very funny. So if you could put Issa Rae on the PS5, then
that's what I was about to say. If you could have different customized voices on that, that would be super cool. I like that.
So
I do Udahara from Bleach.
Udahara?
Mr. Hat and Claws.
What, the Japanese voice or the English voice? Because one of them.
I actually preferred the English voice.
Yeah, I liked his English voice. It wasn't bad. Crap. But anyway, they're also going to introduce adaptive triggers on the future called DualShock 5. They haven't officially called it that, but it's probably going to be called the DualShock 5. So adaptive triggers. I'm
actually excited about that.
Yeah, what this means is basically the tension when you pull on the triggers can change based on why you're pulling the triggers. Like for, a gun trigger, it'll, probably be a smooth motion or maybe like a snap motion. For a bow and arrow, apparently it'll be like a lot harder to like draw the trigger in because you're mimicking pulling back on the bow and stuff like that. What sounds cool in theory, but did not Xbox One also have adaptive triggers? Like it was a whole thing with like feedback.
Not customizable controllers?
Wait, no. You're talking about the Elite controller?
Yeah, don't they have that on there?
You know what? They do have that. Yes.
Is it?
You're right. On the Elite controllers, you can change the tension of the trigger pulls. But I think that is a manual thing. That's like you can change, and you can change how it feels, and it just stays that way. This is something where it adapts versus what you're doing in the game.
So one of the examples that they gave was someone was playing, I think it was Gran Turismo, and they had a car that was half of it was on the dirt, the other half was on the road. So apparently in the controller, you can feel on the left side of your controller the dirt tension, right? The rumble and tension, and then on the right side you feel the smooth road. So I think that's going to be super cool to really get that immersive hepatic feedback. You
And
know what
yeah,
I mean?
and that's another feature called the haptic feedback of just
Or
the
haptic.
rumbles
I
in the
can't
controller in general. Probably similar to what Nintendo was calling HD Rumble. And also Microsoft was calling rumble triggers, because they said they literally said the same thing when Forza 4 launched and the Xbox One was coming out. They said you'll be able to feel, and they use that exact example. I don't know if Sony's not paying attention. They use that exact example that when you're on the road versus when you're on the barricade, you'll feel the difference in the rumble of the triggers.
Yeah.
On the Switch side with HD Rumble and on the Xbox One side with the rumble triggers, neither one of those features got used all that much. They kind of faded into obscurity. So this
Do you
is,
think it because it was like killing the controllers?
I wonder. I mean, that could be a thing, but also it seemed devs just weren't all that keen on making use of it, because that's who
They're
like they put
that's
they
super
put all
short.
this tech into the controller and into this system and stuff. It's the devs who have to take use of it.
Yeah, that's true.
So I guess they didn't really find much value in that specific thing, and Sony's basically coming out with the same thing that the other two consoles just had, and no one really saw use of it. Maybe that'll change in the future. You know, maybe they'll make use of it going forward. But
Do you think people are gonna equate the PlayStation to like Apple is to Android as PlayStation is to Xbox? Do you see that comparison being drawn?
see that comparison. Apple and PlayStation do share a lot in common, especially in terms of how their fan bases kind of react to info.
And I'm saying this with the iPhone, mind you. Okay. I'm just...
But the other stuff we could have guessed. Longer battery life for the controllers, sorely needed, because those PS4 controllers die super quick.
Die super fast.
A solid state drive, which we already knew, going to speed up load times dramatically.
Bro.
But probably something that's probably the coolest thing I've heard from this so far is partial game installation. So,
yeah, I thought that was kind of weird.
Weird? Think about it this way.
Yeah.
So you get a game on launch night. It's going to take 100 gigs to install because all the games are super huge nowadays, right?
But you want to just jump
You
in
want
the
to jump
story.
right into the story, or you want to jump right into multiplayer. Load just that, and then you can do that, and then load the other one later when you're not so pressed for time. Or, you finish the single player, all you're going to do at this point forward to play multiplayer, uninstall the single player, save your hard disk some space.
I feel like they were on the verge of that, especially with the Xbox, right? Because right now, what you have that, but you don't get to choose which part you download, right? You have ready to play. So your download will finish up to like 80%, or depending on the game, it could be a lot lower than that. And you could start playing the story right away, or start playing the tutorial, or start, setting up stuff while the rest of the game is downloading. So I think it's a good improvement on a system that's somewhat already in place.
If you remember, Crackdown 3 that just came out literally launched 2 different icons.
Yes,
so
that's
you could
right.
load just the single player or just the multiplayer. The game was garbage, but it did. It employed that exact thing, just kind of in a different method. So this is. It seems like Sony is mandating. Well, that's the thing, because that was clearly something that the developers did. Maybe Microsoft told them to, but it came in 2 parts. I wonder if it's at the control of the developers to make it so that you can install just this portion or just the other portion, and it's just a mandate from Sony to all their developers now. Because if that's the case, any third-party games will probably have the same function on an Xbox One.
Yeah, because they're not going to make 2 different.
Right.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
So like,
I think it's going to be good.
Yeah, like a lot of these details are really cool, and it also gives you information about what the next generation will look like in general, because there's a lot of system parity for both Xbox and Sony.
Oh yeah.
Nintendo is doing their own thing as always. But
I love Nintendo. They just, they the black sheep, but like nobody really hates this black sheep. They just like, yeah, he's doing his own thing. He dyed his hair, but we still love him. Like,
but some of these things that we're seeing here, when you think about Google Stadia coming into the picture, some of these problems just don't exist for Google Stadia. Like, you don't have to worry about game installation. Yeah. You don't have to worry about having a solid state drive because it's a stream over the internet. You don't have to worry about, AI assistant integrated, like it's Google. They showed that off in their thing, how you can basically ask Google to like pull up a YouTube video to show you a walkthrough. Like all that stuff is in Stadia too. So this next gen is looking very, very close in terms of platforms.
Yeah, it's I feel it's a Apple Android situation. Very. I don't think it's going to be a huge improvement on what's already in place. There are going to be improvements. I don't think it's going to be huge.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's nothing in here that really blows your mind.
Yeah.
And honestly, for the last couple of generations, that's been the case. Like I want to say
I heard the new Xbox is supposed to have nerve gear integration. It's supposed to be able to full dive.
This man wants Sword Art Online so bad.
Dive.
I will pass on the nerve
Thought
gear.
hack. I'm not gonna lie. If Jeff tries it, I'm gonna try it. I'll be there.
Like I'm part of Laughing Coffin, just so you know.
Anyway.
Oh man.
So that's all we know about the PS5 so far. What has tended to happen is Sony will release some info and then Microsoft will release some info. So hopefully we'll hear some new stuff about what's coming with the next console from them soon. But as of now, we're going to move on to some industry controversy. Big stuff going on in the world of Blizzard. So if you have not heard, a pro Hearthstone player, the online tradable card game, recently won a finals tournament, like a championship tournament, and as he was being interviewed, he made some statements calling for the what do you call it?
The freedom of democratic rights for Hong Kong citizens.
Right. And Blizzard immediately banned that player for a full year, took his prize money, and issued a statement saying that he broke the rules by using the platform to voice political statements, which is in their rule set and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But no one seemed to like this ruling from Blizzard. So a lot of shoutcasters jumped into the fray in protest, quitting broadcasts in protest. A lot of
one of their announcers.
Yeah, one of their shoutcast announcers. Mm-hmm. A small number of staff. Let's be clear.
Yes.
From Blizzard actually walked out of the company in protest. They didn't quit their jobs. They organized a walkout from the headquarters in protest of this decision. And a lot of players of their games and such, specifically Overwatch, used Mei, who was a Chinese character, in a lot of fan art to kind of voice their support for the sentiments of freeing Hong Kong. Mm-hmm. In light of all that controversy, Blizzard released a very long statement where they tried to explain their position, saying that, yes, he broke the rules, in line with keeping the rules. If it had been the opposite sentiment, they'd have done the same thing. Mm-hmm. However, in the future, they want to maybe take more time to consider what kind of actions they'll issue, and in doing so, reevaluated the penalty they gave. So they refunded the prize money to this player and lowered his ban, as well as the ban from commentators who were talking about what he said after the fact, from a full year to 6 months.
So I think once again they have that in their rules, which is understandable. Mm-hmm. They don't want their brand to be damaged by anyone using their platform to voice about something else. But also I think it depends on what they're offering their support of. Obviously, no offense, if they're supporting, Hitler and a bunch of Nazis and stuff, then that's probably not going to go over well. But if they're promoting the freedom of a people, I don't see that as being the same thing. So, because if that was the civil rights movement, where something similar to that, then we wouldn't receive. Well, we would hope it wouldn't be received in the same exact way. And I do agree that if that's in their rules, he should be maybe fined or some punishment. But I don't think the extreme that they went, taking all this money, banned him for a year, and everything else. It was kind of like.
Okay, so I feel like Casey, Sigma, I feel like you didn't mention one of the biggest elements of this.
Right, I think I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, China has the Chinese government has a huge investment in Blizzard.
Well,
right,
let's
their
not,
game base.
Well, let's not say the Chinese government.
Okay,
A specific company by the name of Tencent.
There's another one too.
Another one.
Shell company.
Yeah, there's a couple of them that have invested a whole bunch in Blizzard.
Right. So
right?
they have Chinese investors embedded in their infrastructure.
Yeah.
And if you know anything about China's communist government, their big corporations have ties to the government.
Like things
they
down.
don't. They listen to the government in China. Those companies. So
what did they just banned in China? They just banned something else. Another game. I can't remember what it was. But it's like, what it looks like to me is Blizzard said, okay, let's do something extreme, burn them at the stake, and let our investors know that, we're not for that. You know what I mean? And then they kind of went back and tried to soften the blow and say, yeah, okay, you know what, he only really deserves 6 months, and we'll give him his money back and stuff like that. But initially they wanted to show, like, we on y'all side. We're not going to stand for this. That's what it felt like. It felt like a money decision over a moral decision. And
I can definitely see that. And it does get dicey because of the fact that they have shareholders that have certain controlling stake. Honestly, I'm upset with myself because I forget how much stake Tencent and this other company have in Blizzard. I don't know if it's a controlling share.
It's a significant amount. No, it's not a controlling share, but it's a significant amount. Like, Blizzard's going to be hurting if they all pull out.
Right.
You know? And I don't want to... I'm not just one mind about this. This is definitely a difficult decision for Blizzard. I admit that. You know what I mean? The guy broke the rules. He's offending some of your biggest investors, right? I understand something needs to be done. That being said, be a human about it. You know what I mean?
Well, that's the distinction that Blizzard is making in their statement. Blizzard is saying it doesn't matter what he said. It's not about the content. They're saying he used.
I heard that.
He used he just won a tournament or whatnot. They're interviewing him about the tournament, and he used that time to talk politics. So it didn't matter if it was in support of Hong Kong liberation or anti-Hong Kong liberation. The fact that he used that time for anything other than reflecting on the championship he just won, that was the violation, and that's why they penalized him. And then they went back and said, okay, you guys are mad because you think it was about this thing, but it was about this other thing, so we're going to lessen the thing, we're going to lessen the punishment so that we can maybe call it a draw. Like, let's get past this.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't believe them when they say... I don't believe that they would have...
If you remember when... what was it? Sonic Fox? My bad.
All right. Go ahead with Sonic Fox. I love that.
Remember when he came out after he won Evo, right?
Yeah.
I feel like it's kind of a similar situation. Not as, one political, one's kind of... But it's still two controversial statements. He wasn't penalized. There was none of that.
Well,
the same
Evo,
type of retaliation.
Like, Evo isn't controlled by...
No. I don't mean by... As far as control, I mean that it's promoting something that's
outside
that
of...
person believes it. Exactly.
Yeah,
it's outside of the norm or outside of
the game's
popular opinion at the time, depending on the area. So that might not be popular in Hong Kong or whatever it is. But I don't feel like, even though he used that platform to get his message across, he wasn't penalized for it. Not comparing the two, but I feel like if Evo doesn't have those rules in place as far as something like that goes, I don't think Blizzard should kind of have the same thing. You know what I mean? Like, I get it to a certain extent, but...
Well, but that's Blizzard's choice. It's their company. But I did want to bring up Colin Kaepernick, right? Kind of, there's some similarities there, where he spoke out and not necessarily officially penalized. Well, he was officially penalized a couple times.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, and then he got shut out for the most part. Now, there's lots of reasons and theories that people believe that why he's not playing now, right? But I feel like it's a similar situation. And another thing I looked up and I wanted to talk to you guys about, in the Overwatch League, there's been multiple players. Now, this is still Blizzard. Multiple players who have said anti-homophobic things, racist things, and you can look on the line of banned players. It specifically says negative speech, right? These guys have only been suspended for a couple matches, only fined not even their whole prize money. You know what I mean? And they're still playing.
Well,
Now,
I
this
want
is all under the what's up? What's up?
like these are players who said those things on like their personal streams.
And see, now that's I understand what you're saying. The platform is important because they said
Yeah.
specifically you did it on our
Yeah,
broadcast.
like that was like that was their
Yeah.
national championship
right.
interview. Like the whole tournament's over, you're the winner. You got on the number one podium and then said, "I hate all Jews" or something to that
Yeah.
effect.
Yeah.
Like, not saying that that's what
can't
he
let
said,
that
but like
stand.
that's the magnitude of it versus you're on your own personal stream with your followers and stuff, and then you say something crazy. So they're like, "Look, he wasn't doing anything on our channels, but we know you guys are upset that they did this thing, so we're gonna give them this smaller punishment." So that's why I wouldn't equate those smaller bands to this larger band for that reason. But I do think there's something to be said about what Jeff was bringing up with Sonic Fox saying, kind of coming. He wasn't come out. He was already known to be.
Yeah,
like,
but he was kind of
but he was like just
know.
re-announcing it, saying like, "Oh, it's cool that I can be this and then win this thing on this big stage and whatnot." Right. So people applauded that because they support the message.
Mm-hmm.
If in that exact same scenario, Sonic Fox won that thing and then said the exact opposite, he was like, "Oh, look, I'm a cis black guy, and you're never gonna see a furry or a gay black guy do what I just did or whatnot."
Yeah.
I think he would have gotten in trouble from Evo because there would have been a backlash.
Mm-hmm.
So I do wonder, like Blue is thinking, like, would it have been like an exact punishment had that player's content been political, but not so damning to their shareholder? Like, there's no way to know.
I highly doubt it.
Because you
I
gotta think about it. If Sonic Fox would have said that, how would Blizzard have known? Well, how would people have known that the majority didn't agree with what he said? They would have been
Oh,
back.
you see
People
Twitter
would have wrote in.
light up.
Yeah,
There would have been
yeah.
people. So, do you think the same thing happened
Mm.
with this situation? It wouldn't have been people, or who would have been writing in or expressing their, dissatisfaction with what was said.
Right, because largely the sentiments from, I think, the internet were positive.
Yeah.
Like, they were in support of what the players said. And even the shoutcasters who got banned, who kept that conversation going a little bit after, like, they got in trouble too because they kind of framed it in a positive way.
Not one person is saying, yeah, Hong Kong really shouldn't have more democratic rights. Like, not one person is saying that. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know the issue is the offense of doing it on their time, on their broadcast, their stage. But, I really don't believe that if he said the opposite, they would have punished him as harshly and as immediately.
Yeah, because it was pretty quick.
Yeah,
was
there's something
very
to be said
fast.
about that. And this also brings up, Kotaku actually wrote a recent article about this, but I literally did a lag discussion video about politics and video games several months ago, and this kind of brings that discussion back to light. Basically, a lot of game developers, a lot of publishers do not want any of their games to seem political. They don't want them to take any kind of side in terms of a political stance or statement or whatnot. But a lot of them want to capitalize on that in order to kind of boost, like signal boost their image, but then not get any of the repercussions. Far Cry, not New Dawn, the one before it, Far Cry 5.
I had that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Far Cry 5 did a lot of this. Like, it first showed off a lot of its gameplay stuff to look like the element that you were fighting against was like a radicalized white nationalist organization.
Mm-hmm.
And then as people started to have those conversations, like, oh, Far Cry 5 is doing something like crazy. Like, they're looking at something that's actually going on in our country right now.
Yeah.
And then they started pulling back real heavy. Like, oh, no. Well, we started thinking this up like years and years ago. So it just so happened that there may be some correlations, but no, it's not the same thing. It's not political. And then, like, as the game came out, you saw, like, they really weren't trying to take a stance. So they were trying to market it as if they were taking a stance, and then really just didn't want to have anything to do with it.
They want to take. They want to get the benefits without actually exposing themselves to any fallback from it.
Right. So, as you can see, like, Blizzard, they're a worldwide company. They have esports that have broken into a communist country like China and whatnot. Is there a way to actually separate video games from politics? Because you will always see on the internet people in the comment section say, "Oh, why you got to make it political? You put a black guy as the lead character in a game series or a woman as a lead character in a game series, and thousands and thousands of comments will be like, "Oh, why you got to shove this down my throat? Why you got to make him gay? Why is it politics? Politics thrown in my face." These are just people. These people exist in the real world. They're going to be represented in games.
Yeah.
People hate the idea of politics and video games mixing, but it's kind of me personally,
it's
I
inevitable.
don't see. Yeah, exactly. I don't see a way to separate the two.
Just like any other industry, right? First of all, we want the gaming industry to be recognized and taken seriously, right? The fact that this player can say something like that and it be heard around the world, that's kind of what we want.
Right.
Right?
That's
We
basically
want to
what,
be
like you were
taken
saying with
seriously.
Colin Kaepernick. He used
Yeah.
the platform he was given. He made it to the top stage of the Blizzard thing, and he used
Yep.
that platform to send out a message that he believed in. And no,
Exactly.
it wasn't related to Hearthstone and such. But, like, where else are you going to get the chance to do that kind of thing? Like, I commend him for taking that risk.
Oh yeah, most definitely. It's definitely a brave move. You know what I mean? So, I mean, overall, I think Blizzard was in a very difficult position, and I felt like they took the heartless route, in my opinion.
And how does that make you feel? Being that
It's
you're
sad.
such a big Overwatch fan.
I'm glad you asked that because that's something I've been thinking about for a while. You know, you got all these people boycotting or talking about boycott Blizzard. I want to see where everything lands.
Where their next move is.
Yeah, because I think a lot of stuff is still up in the air. I still haven't seen a black woman in Overwatch, and that's very concerning.
That is true.
But yeah, no, it's definitely got me thinking about my loyalty and my fandom to Blizzard games. I'm not even a huge WoW fan, but I like the universe that they've built and how it interacts with the other games that they build. You know, I loved what was
Diablo.
the Heroes of the Storm, Diablo. Yeah, you know, and of course I love Overwatch. But if they're gonna really, you know, choose this money over morals path on a regular basis, I don't think I could live with myself really supporting them. And it sucks.
Yeah, that's very significant. The fact that and just like everything else, like as games become bigger, they become much bigger multinational corporations. They start to get ties to more insidious things that you do not want to support, right?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with like
Chick-fil-A.
right, Chick-fil-A, for example.
Woo, it's difficult.
So like, and it gets increasingly difficult to try and take the moral high ground commercially.
It's so funny you mentioned that in The Good Place. I don't know if you guys have watched that.
Yes. Oh my God, they did.
Season
They had an
3.
episode talking about that exact thing.
I'm not done with it, but right now season 3 is saying like all these people are going to the bad place because every little decision that they have supports bad things.
Yeah,
even
it's like
though
everything is
they're
tied.
unconscious.
Yeah, they're unconscious of the decision they're making. That's tied to all these things that then end up being a bad decision in the long run. And like, there's no way to plan for that. Like, it's too hard to be a good person. Is essentially what it came down to.
Because one of the examples they gave, they said, okay, this guy bought an organic tomato, but it was an organic tomato that was being harvested by illegal immigrants that were underpaid, that were basically slaves, and from this company that exploited some other people. So eventually, this man buying a tomato was a bad act because of everything else that happened before it and everything that came to that. Yeah, so they actually like have a calculation for everything. It's a really good show.
Yeah, please watch The Good Place. That show is actually amazing.
For doing things that they weren't essentially aware of, or that they were directly responsible for, or indirectly.
Indirectly responsible for, right?
Indirectly responsible. That's the thing. You know, in The Good Place, you get tallied up on how much good or bad you put into the world, and by buying an organic tomato, it might be 2 points of good for you, right? But 50 points of bad that you've supported this big bad company that's been around forever, that's exploiting people. So, oops, that just went away. So
don't eat organic tomatoes.
See, that's the thing. It's never that easy of a decision.
It's never that easy, and that's exactly. So I think that's kind of that's what my dilemma with Blizzard is going to be in the next coming months here.
Because
they pulled the
like
Okay.
for example, the devs who made Overwatch, for example, they aren't responsible for any of these decisions. And
Exactly.
in supporting their work by playing their game, you're supporting them, but then you're also supporting their bosses who then made this decision to
Pay them.
There's no way to really get around that.
See, and let's say everybody stops playing Overwatch, then all those devs are out of a job, right? So there's bad there, there's good here, and you really gotta do your own moral scale and see what are you doing.
And sometimes that just comes with, if you can't change the world by not doing something, then change it by doing something. So that means going out and doing something positive, going out and doing something. So maybe not, not playing their games, not hurting the little guy to affect the big guy, might not be something that is going to be effective. But going out and protesting and boycott and supporting the businesses that are doing those good things is also, something that's relevant.
So yeah, we'll see. We'll see where they end up. And I
also
again,
is really not that good. Just
man, you're lying right now.
I also think it's overrated. They have
Wow.
good nuggets, but that's about it.
good nuggets.
I need y'all to come to Atlanta, where it all started. Where it all started, baby. They be
All
killing
right.
chickens in the back. That thing's so fresh.
God, I don't want to deal with that.
Y'all never killed a chicken?
I actually have watched the chicken be killed, and it was quite traumatic.
That's
It
pretty
is.
sick. I've killed.
No, that's third world country stuff, man. My dad did it when he moved here. Oh, well, not Atlanta, but when he moved in Cali, we had some chickens. This is just a nice little blue story. We had some chickens, and when times got rough, it was time to eat one. Tied it up. I'm not gonna go into details, but a machete was involved. We're Jamaican.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I was a kid, I had
Mhm.
to help my aunt cut the heads off the fish
Yeah,
and descale
that's
them
cute.
and take the guts out. Yeah, but I never ate fish again after that.
That's part of the reason why I don't eat goat meat.
It just doesn't taste.
You
the
don't
same.
eat goat?
I do not eat goat meat, and it's because when I visited Nigeria as a kid,
Yeah.
and they kept doing this, which is messed up. They did this with the chickens too that they later killed. They introduced us to the goat, and we were hanging out and playing with the goat like it was a pet.
No, yeah.
And then they cut that goat's head off, and they threw that goat's head in the fire, and we just watched it burn. And I was like, nope,
oh yeah,
not
definitely.
doing
When
this,
my dad
not eating
first
goat
did it,
ever.
You hungry? No.
we weren't we weren't allowed to have a dog because we were irresponsible and young, whatever. But I took one of the chickens as my, that's my pet.
Yep.
Y'all got dogs, I got chickens. Yeah, and then eventually,
See, I did still eat the chicken after they killed it.
Chicken.
Yeah, it's chicken, But goat, nah, I wasn't messing with the goat after that. That one was a little too.
It just looked
traumatizing.
at you from the fire.
Right, yo, I remember the eyes. Oh my god, that's gonna do it for episode 20.
The look of agony on his face.
That's
Okay,
why you have those naked-
I'm
man.
not trying to trigger you, but I have a question. Did your goat have a name?
No, I don't think we named it actually.
Okay. Oof.
Or if so,
That's
I've,
when it really
I've
gets
blocked
rough.
it out. But we've
But
reached
he's
the end of
so-
our
he had so much
topics
spirit.
for this week. Thanks, Superman Jeff 12. Where can people find you?
You can find me on Facebook at Superman
Hey.
Jeff Plays. You can also find me on Mixer at Superman Jeff 12. Don't forget to go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you get notified when we post new content. Also hit that like button. That's how we survive. That's how we eat. So definitely hit those like buttons. Share the program. Let people know that you're watching something that has some substance. We cover, some funny topics, some serious topics. But you get our point of views on everything, and you can also offer yours. So go ahead and leave us some feedback in the comments, or send us a message on Facebook and let us
Send
know
an
some of the
email.
things that you So let us know some of the things you want us to cover.
Right.
That email address is what? BBETGaming@gmail.com.
That is correct.
Gmail.com.
So, Blue, where can people find you on the internet?
It's your boy Blue BLUB0NES Blue Bones. You can find me on Mixer, right? Blue Bones XB as an Xbox. You can find me on Facebook, Play with Blue Bones, and on Instagram as Blue Bones BLUB0NES. See my personal stuff there. I don't post a whole bunch, but when I do, I feel like it's significant. Just like Jeff and Sigma have been saying, send us those emails, y'all. If you got questions, comments, concerns, hit that thumbs up, get that little bell ringing, you know what I'm saying? And we're gonna be streaming less often, but for longer periods of time.
Yes.
So look out for that. You guys gonna get a little bit more meat with your potatoes, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, more of the streams you guys seem to like most.
Yeah. So good. You know, it's gonna leave us a little bit more refreshed to give you guys more of that. And I feel like everyone is gonna be better off with that. So look forward to that.
Indeed.
Sigma, where can they find you?
I'm pretty much on all social media as Sigma Gears 9. You can find me on Facebook at Sigma and Sun. Mm-hmm. Those weekly streams with Starboy will probably be a bit more scattered, but they will pop up from every now and then, depending on what I have to play and what Starboy is looking to play with me. You can find the reviews I've been talking about. Pine, like I mentioned today, is on the Escapist YouTube channel, so definitely check that out. I also want to encourage you guys to look into therealmesports.com. I just got a job as their community manager. It's a actual gaming lounge. They have super fast gaming PCs. If you're in the central New Jersey area, you want to check out that location, hit that up. Search for The Realm NJ or The Realm Esports on Facebook to find the page, the Instagram as well. I'll be posting some stuff on my page to kind of try and get people to come to those pages and see what it's about if you're in the area. I know we have listeners who are kind of far and wide, but if you are in the central New Jersey area, definitely come through. It's a really cool place. We're going to be doing a lot of events and tournaments there in the near future. And once again, hit up that email, bbetgaming@gmail.com. Watch the YouTube, BBET Gaming on YouTube. We need those subscribers. We need those likes. We need your support. We very much appreciate it. Thanks, everybody who's listening to the podcast.
Ayo.
That's going to do it for episode 20. Thanks, Jeff. Thanks, Blue. Peace.
Adios.
Why the fuck they always got that hate? Concentrate on a nigga while I'm out here trying to get him and forget it. Shaking my head, these niggas that don't speak. Trying to get bread, your niggas that do sleep. At least I'm woke, nigga, I'm a beast, at least I know. Whoa. Trying to get rid of me, but I am the epitome of acidity.